oh, you're the evil dictator overthrowing the world.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is that like um I've been watching a lot of Norm Finkelstein clips and like they're like Slavoj Žižek clips, buyer beware, you know what I'm saying? Um
Hmm.
because he's just not afraid to drop a harsh N. But then he's immediately like he'll be like he'll say like boop and then he'll be like that speech is designed to stifle speech, so that's never appropriate. And it's like you okay,
Yeah.
I agree. Don't Norm, just stop. You don't have to do this. We get it. We all know the word. It's fine. He is not.
A quick aside. I dropped in on Peter Coffin to see what he was up to,
Oh boy,
and
how's he doing?
my dude. Oh, it's so much worse than I thought. I got out way when the getting was good long ago. Because my dude was just he was co-signing Caleb Moffat's book.
Really?
Yeah, he was just going through the book and co-signing,
Do
like
you
just writing them checks.
do you remember what I used to tell Ghost and Mouse about Caleb Maupin? That like if depending on where you jump into the Maupin thing, like if you're not like intently paying attention to everything he says, like you're gonna hear shit you
Mhm.
like.
Well, he's a good fascist because he does a good socialism when he wants to.
I don't know why chat's all fucked up.
he like he like really tries. Like you hear some stuff, you're like, okay, right on, right on. Who's that mopping? What the fuck are
Okay,
you talking about?
chat is janked up on my desktop, but chat is working on the website. So if you're watching, howdy,
Howdy.
howdy. What was that? That was a squeaky chair.
Oh, that's I am getting over some sickness.
I got you. Get the horn blowing.
Yeah, so you're gonna hear an elephant every once in a while.
Oh, that's
Deal
fine.
with it.
I d-
Deal
dealt, sir, dealt.
with
But yeah, like Malvin, like if you listen to like his one of my first experience with Malvin, he's like, no, the workers need to be united and fight the capitalist threat, and I'm like, yeah, all right, that's a cool
yeah,
thing for you to say. That was awesome.
yeah,
And then he's like, and then we're gonna work with the nationalists, and I was like, whoa, woo,
yeah,
that took a
right.
turn.
See, that's funny because I came from the opposite. I came from hearing the nonsense, fucked up clips that that everybody was posting of him, and I was like, oh, this guy I should stay away from.
Yeah,
And now I hear like random bits, and it's like, oh, makes some sense. Okay, I can now see why people were enticed by it, but
yeah.
before I was like, how the fuck does anyone fall for this shit?
He's one of these pat sock weirdos. By the way, chat, welcome. This is the Sons of Trier as always. We are taking questions tonight, and if not, we're gonna riff about whatever we want.
Giggity, giggity.
Giggity, giggity.
Oh, and the parents aren't home. We're off the chain.
That's true. You can get our darkest opinions tonight.
Oh boy, gonna get on that blackness. Gonna
Try to
be
get Dan and Michael canceled.
gonna be like black on tar. Gonna be like black on coal.
Black on coal. Mm-mm.
That darkness. So
Mm-mm.
good.
Yeah. So now there's like a lot of figures like that, right? Like where you're like, I don't know, not everything is wrong.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's funny. They expect everything about everybody to be wrong.
Yeah.
You can find some Adam Smith stuff. You're like, oh, okay, right on. Yeah, landlords are fucking parasites, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they a lot like I like when they're like Marx is the one who said they were parasites. Bro, Adam Smith said that. He was right. That was your guy.
That was yeah, it was your buddy.
Yeah.
Your buddy said that, not mine.
Yeah. Technically speaking, for economic purposes, he is because he's one of the big three.
He was Marx is paraphrasing off Smith.
Yeah. Well, that's what Smith even had the labor theory of value.
Hmm.
Like, and who was it? Ricardo had the iron law of wages, and Marx, out of spite, was like, "Yeah, you want to hear about the iron law of fucking profits, bro?"
All right, yeah, yeah. Let's let's take this to its natural conclusion.
Okay, first question from chat comes from William Alton Carter. Thanks for joining us. Would you rather fuck
Welcome.
Jeannie from My Dream of Jeannie or Samantha from Bewitched?
Ooh. Mm. You know, I always had a thing for. I always had more of a thing for the Bewitched chick.
She could run a household.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeannie was just like too old when I was coming up. That whole black and white thing, it made it feel really inaccessible. If they were to
It
do a
does.
remaster color version, it might help.
Okay. I'm actually, yeah, I concur. Yeah. So there you go. That's our answer. Mine's though on the practicality of it. Like I can imagine like in that scenario, I can imagine being able to negotiate the day-to-day problems of having to run a household with Samantha and with Jeannie. Like you
Yeah.
got to take care of her, and you got a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. So on the question of magical white women, I'm going with the witch.
Yeah.
Good question though. I definitely didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. That's fair. Like I said, keep them coming. We're more than willing to answer them. So who else is a figure where it's like, you know what? Everybody gives Merrick shit. I still like Merrick. I
Merrick. Who's Merrick?
that's that white anarchist woman who says really crazy shit sometimes, but other times really base shit.
I don't actually
Allegedly a
know who
sex
that is.
offender.
What? Okay,
Allegedly.
that escalated quick.
Yeah, it's a lot of Twitter drama, but like I'm not certain if it has any merits to it or
But
not.
is that
I'm
that is
leery.
that that is that that fascist bitch sitting in the chair?
No,
And
that's not that's not the Jewish woman. That's not Coffee Spoonie.
no, no, she's like, is that Coffee Spooning?
Coffee
And
Spoonie's
they're
the one
like,
with all those awesome takes. Like I fire Uber drivers for the left. From the left, I get them fired.
I only know I only know passively of Coffee Spoonie
Yeah,
because
that
I
was
was on
more.
Twitter when she was around. Yeah.
That was some. Let me be honest about that. That was some real Jewish shit from John and I.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, like
Nothing wrong with that. I mean,
no, it's yeah, but
sometimes I really love my black shit. What the fuck? I put Merrick in the Google search and I'm seeing like melted faces.
no, that's not Merrick then.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. All right. Well, good luck on that one.
I'll link you to her account. It's under. She's on Twitter as at Punished Merrick. She's an anarchist, but like I find it refreshing that she means the bullshit.
She means the bullshit.
Yeah.
All right.
So like that
Anarchism, everybody.
was she like had like a she was like genuinely like trying to thought out like sexual mutual aid one time, and I was like no.
Sexual mutual aid.
18th
Oh, good
Amendment.
lord.
18th Amendment. 18th.
The anarchists still lost me on this. Half of them trying to say that they're not even left.
Yeah. Well, there
Like
are.
if you're not on the left, or you're just a lobert. That's all that is.
Well, you've seen our conservative communists. They're the Pat Socks. They're freaks. The conservative anarchists are the libertarians. Surprise,
But
surprise. They're freaks. Uh,
does that make them fascists too? Like, I don't.
two questions from chat. William Alton Carter, 18th Amendment, yay or nay? Nay on the prohibition. Although I think personally you should not, if that makes sense. I don't think it should be a mandate of the government or the dictatorship of the proletariat or whatever. How about you? 18th Amendment, prohibition, yay or nay?
Ah, fuck prohibition, bro. We actually need to decriminalize a whole lot of shit.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Let's say prohibition, but we restrict it to heroin and meth and like carburetor fluid in your lungs, like
Like,
huffing carburetor fluid.
like the thing that a lot of people don't get about about alcohol and prohibition was that like when hard liquor came out, those motherfuckers weren't ready for it. They really weren't. So motherfuckers went ape shit, vomiting all over the place, fucking beating their wives and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, they were already
Like
beating their wives. Let's
so
be
so
fair.
they so they they respond to it with the most extreme measures, predictably, and it just doesn't work because it turns out the shit people like the shit.
Yeah, it was a bit of a sleight
Yeah.
of hand because in the working class, like people were beating each other all the time, like they do today. Nothing has changed
Right,
about
right,
that.
right, right. But you know, it's a genuine mental health. It's a genuine mental health crisis, like an addiction crisis. It needs to be treated as such.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with like banning the hardest stuff from production. Like the absolute nasty shit that really serves like no purpose. And I'm suspect like when like you're seeing now like ketamine treatment, I'm suspect on that shit too in a big way.
I just don't I trust less being able to create a response to it that's responsible than trying to be punitive. Like I guess my point is I would rather attempt to be restorative.
Fair. Fair, I'll give you that.
Rehabilitative, I guess is the word.
Stalinist chops restored, baby. I'm the one who's like, I'm okay with a little bit of punitiveness.
I mean it's fine. It's fine. It's just I mean under a bourgeois government, like who you really
Oh,
helping there?
under a bourgeois government, absolutely not.
Like if we're talking like some spherical cow in a ghost of a Soviet country, then fine. Yeah, we could do that. In the real world as it is now, nah. Sounds good on paper, but don't work out.
Okay. Next question was from Thena Cadest, the nakedest. However you want to say it, if you want to use the French or not. Are, are you thinking of Shoe on Head? No, I'm thinking of Merrick. Went by Mother Merrick, now going by Punished Merrick.
Oh, I haven't checked in on Shoe in a minute. That ought to be fun.
Shoe's weird. Shoe
Yeah,
is
she was always weird.
Shoe again. Shoe's one of those ones who sometimes says things and I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Shoe only got her career in the first place because she looked like Boxy.
Yes, that's also true.
Because I was literally, it's literally how I found her. I was like, oh shit, this chick looked like Boxy, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I sit around for a minute.
Yeah,
The queen, the queen.
Boxy is the queen. Oh, Left Chan, we hardly knew ye. Yeah, so no, we're not thinking of Shoe, but Shoe falls into the category of people who sometimes say base shit and sometimes make you go, oof, big ass oof.
In that perplexingly amazing way that you're just like completely stunned, like what
Yeah.
the fuck did you just say?
What in the fuck was that now?
Say what?
Okay, next one is a comment. A study showed that medical grade heroin, while under the administration of medical professionals, actually made junkies into productive members of society. Some of them were even able to get clean. I would retort like
I gotta take on that.
go for it you first.
I gotta take on that. You don't really realize how many addicts are out there and productive, especially when they're rich and they can afford their hobby.
Yeah.
They like to play this whole, oh, you know, I'll just you know, keep using and then, you know, detox and get clean, but they never do. So as long as they're still rich, it's not viewed as a problem. The problem is being
Right.
poor to
Well,
liberals.
yeah, that's it. Like let's talk about the underlying problem, right? The underlying problem is, are they wealthy enough? Because if you're a wealthy enough gambling addict, you don't have gambling addiction, do you? You just have a penchant for taking risks. Look at
Right.
Elon Musk. $283 billion right down the shitter on his gambles.
Yeah.
Arguably a pain fetish. So, addiction is only a problem if you're poor anyway. So, I would imagine if we address the underlying conditions, either A, the heroin becomes wholly irrelevant, or B, right, if we view it as if we view the dependency as something that can be treated directly. I don't know though. Like that seems like dangerous logic to me too, because like I wouldn't be like the solution to an alcoholic is to give them more alcohol.
Yeah, we're right back to that prohibition question. Yeah, I don't. I would
Yeah.
rather be restorative. I don't trust these motherfuckers to be punitive in any
No.
way that would ever be helpful to anybody.
Uh,
We've seen what happens when you let them run and do whatever the fuck they want. They do the drug wars.
well, yeah, obviously, no, you can't let them do what they want. But let's face it. Okay. Next question, also from Billy Carter. Will America ever have a Marxist government, or will we have to become a whole new country? Our government, as is, will never be Marxist. No,
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
it would functionally not be different from a new country.
That's part of why the Patsock thing doesn't work, because part of America is the imperialism, the colonialism, the interlocking oppressions, the like all of that stuff. You strip that stuff away, America's no longer America. You might as well just call it something different.
Yeah, it there would have to be a successor. I mean, to be fair to England, well, England's on what, like its fifth successor in 1,000 years or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
but how many nations fell from less and aren't even the same thing anymore?
well, Italy's 79 governments in 100 years.
Right, you're just rolling the dice at that point. Like, okay, how many is it gonna take until it's completely something else?
Yeah, there's a coherency problem with that. You know what I mean?
Coherence. Yeah, no, I don't think. I I think it would be so radically different. You couldn't even call it America to begin with.
Yeah, it would kind of have to be. The premise, the
Like why
capital. Yeah.
why would like okay, so say we had the revolution tomorrow, and the day after everybody's starting to reform things and rethink life. Like why would you still want to be tied to the borders and thinking of the former empire when you have new shit that you want to do and new ideas you want to implement, but you want to carry all the baggage from yesterday? You want to carry the old lady's emotional baggage into tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds weird, but like, okay, in a revolutionary phase, right, what you would need to do first is you'd actually have to be organized and start gaining political traction, so you start winning people over to your side. Then you'd have to switch over to military traction, where you start taking territory. Then you have to win those fights, and then as you're collapsing in the old situation upon itself, and reconciling that through force, right? You have to be ready to switch then to a non force governing structure. Pretty much, well, those steps would have to happen concurrently because the territory you have to administer. And if you're going to administer it like the old world, what's the point of you having it? Why don't we just leave it the way it was? At least that has the semblance of order.
Right. And one of the things that the liberals do right is their use of symbolism. And part of
Yeah.
that symbolism is when you give something a new name, it's supposed to be rebranded as something entirely different.
Yeah, and that, and like, you can't be revolutionary if the way everybody eats, sleeps, works, and fucks. Like, that's like kind of the crude way of thinking about it. But how daily life is conducted, if daily
Hmm.
life was conducted exactly the same as it was last time, guess what? You didn't really do a revolution. You did a coup, and that's not the same thing. You can change governments in a coup, obviously, but it's not the same thing. And there's an air of illegitimacy unless you really do that much better than the other guy, which, if the only mode you have is through minority political rule and elitism as your tools, are you going to be that much different? Are you really? What's the difference between that and liberalism? There's not
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Let's be honest here. What is America without fucking racism?
Yeah.
There's no America without racism. It literally predates America.
No, if you even make it, if you make an earnest and valid attempt towards getting rid of racism in this country, like by force, you're already doing something revolutionary, and you're gonna fuck things up from
Hmm.
how it is. Which, again,
Hmm. Because
we
America is racism.
yeah, people will be like, no, I won't be fucking it up. It's like, yes, it is, but like, it's something that, like, the thing is, what's the best analogy for it? Picture the car from Christine, right? Picture Christine the
Mm,
car. That
yeah,
thing
yeah,
needs
yeah,
fucking up, doesn't it? Like, it kind of needs
yeah.
to be destroyed. So why are you worried about destroying it? Like, that should be part of your pitch. You know,
Oh, but we can repaint it and put a little muzzle on it so it's not entirely eating people.
yeah, no, we kind of can't though.
Yet I don't understand why people see the car and start running.
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right. The Thena Cadest. Sorry, I meant rather than coffee spoonie. No. When John was on the show, we used to really obsess over Coffee Spoonie and like watching the accident happen, and then we tried to parse through her logic because she would pretend to be this big leftist and this big left winger, but when you read her logic, she like there was nothing any more revolutionary about Coffee Spoonie that you couldn't get from a middle-aged MAGA Karen, but for the lack of conspiracy theories.
Uh, is
Okay.
that true?
Yeah.
Is that true, horror?
What's up?
Holy
Not
shit!
much.
What
We're
up, bro?
we're taking audience questions. True, join us.
Oh shit.
You can pose questions too, my dude.
Well, why do
Shit,
you?
yeah.
He's gonna answer them.
Oh, he's gonna. Okay, well that too. You
He's
can
on
answer
the
too.
show. He's not the
You can
audience. He doesn't get
you
to
can
ask.
answer. Well, I mean, that doesn't mean he can't ask a question.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, if there's anybody out there in the peanut gallery got one, fucking hit me up.
Okay.
I got at least 30 before I gotta go back in this bitch. They made some motherfucker drive up here from fucking Florida, knowing full well there wouldn't be nobody here to fucking receive him if everything went right, if everybody was out on time and shit. They just, it's just, you guys already know. I've already
Yeah,
described this situation. This is
typical
every
Florida.
fucking weekend.
Yeah, it is.
Florida being Florida.
It couldn't possibly be making anybody any money. It's beginning to feel more like a ritual. Like the real importance of it is just shitting on this truck driver and shitting on us. Like,
Yeah, that is the importance of it. All right, so we do have a question here, and you can take first crack at it. In your opinion, what would need to happen for a Marxist revolution to even happen? And then the second part is to succeed in the United States.
well, okay. When I put it into practice, I didn't actually know anything about it. The only reason that I ended up putting it into practice was that I was doing these kind of jobs and I was on third shift in this one for a long time, and everybody was always fucking attacking each other. Like, everybody in that plant just constantly looking at somebody else, thinking they had it good, fucking tearing them down, constantly competing for their own wage increase, and desperately hiding the truth of whatever their pay rate was from all their coworkers. I just, I was finally on a workforce that was so atomized that I didn't really, before I really delved into like what Marxism was, I guess the first idea that I had in my head came from that job, which was one night I was just like, I, we're not ever going to get nothing from these motherfuckers because we're against each other. And it's super easy for them to turn us against each other. And it just really all started to come together in my mind. Um, and what I thought I'd do was, in the words of J.D. Salinger, what I should have had thought I'd do was is really the J.D. Salinger. It just should have become a fucking pretend deputy and everybody leave me alone. But no, what I thought I'd do was I thought that I would put the shit into practice, learn about it, read about it a little bit. So, I did like babies first, Karl Marx after that.
Sure.
Because I already knew enough about socialism and communism to know that what I was thinking about was communism shit. And
Space.
not because it specifically prescribed the nationalization of these industries, but because shit that I was thinking about, the only way that you would ever have a situation where you could eliminate any of that shit was to take the number out of it, to take, just shut the game down, right? Like, so I thought I'd put it into practice. And what I started doing was I started ignoring everybody around me as far as like, what are they doing? Are they doing more than me? Are they doing less than me? I started doing the living shit out of that job, trying to be real positive, trying to talk about good things that I saw another person do. I tried to eliminate conversations where we were all six guys were talking about how the seventh guy sucks while he's on break or whatever. Like, I was trying to create a solid group on the ground first, just to find out for myself, can this be done? Like, and I had some success at that plant. I had a little success the next one, although the next one proved that wildcat shit will happen before you have time to organize it. I don't know if you guys remember last summer. Last summer when I was at that plant, there was a huge fucking walkout while I was there. Like,
Yeah.
so it makes it look like the severity of our situation is so bad that I could have been trying to organize those guys. What if I was almost about to propose a union? Well, would it matter? The pressure cooker exploded. There was already a massive walkout, and they terminated all those guys. That would happen before I had my first let's have a union meeting, right? So so you got that working against me. Is that we're in such a deep hole, right? That a lot of the structures are going to start to break apart. A lot of the fucking things that people depend upon are probably going to go away before you had time to organize on a national scale, let alone organize in your own fucking workplace. But I still felt good about what I was doing. And I kept doing it. And I'm still doing it. I still stand around on the floor of that place without invoking the name of Karl Marx, without saying the word communism, without doing any of that stuff. I still look these motherfuckers dead in the eye and say, I don't know, man. Our team lead makes more money than us, but he'll be one of us before he's one of them. Maybe we should appeal to him to conspire with us. Maybe we should try to win over his affections again from they who courted him with his pay and then pissed him off by mistreating him. Like, I'm still trying to talk like we're all the same to these motherfuckers. And it's encouraging that it does penetrate some, but at the same time, it's very disappointing to know that you got those two outcomes hiding in the shadows. One, they might, intercede with capital. They might just give the motherfucker a raise, and then he's right out of your pocket. Then he's one of them again, or he thinks he is. Then he's back to being the temporarily embarrassed millionaire again, right? It's gonna be him once, it's gonna be his turn. And now all the rest of us are the other. Seeing it atomized like that in real time, come together slowly and then be atomized instantly over and over and over again is depressing, man. It's sad. And I think that if you are a communist, if you are some type of communist, if you're a Marxist, if you are any of these things, I think this is all you can do is you can continue to work on your own small projects, right? Your own group of guys. Or if you're luckier than me and you're somewhere where it's feasible, actually organizing your own workforce at your place, like getting to the union part. I think you can continue to work on your own small little projects, but at the end of the day, it, I would lose my mind if I didn't think that their shit is going to shear apart before any of us who are alive now, before any of our choices matter on like a frontline decision making type battlefield, right?
Well, the question is, do you think it can happen, and if so, how?
That's what I think. Is I think that if we got it together and we were doing it, I think that the pressure on the system from just the threat of us doing that would cause them to firebomb the whole fucking thing on their way out the door. Would cause them to destroy it, right? Because at the end of the day, that walkout that I was describing at the place that I hypothetically might have tried to organize, even though a massive walkout was looming in its future, at that walkout, those guys, they were all temps. They fired every single one of them the second that they walked out, and then they just ran a skeleton. Like, they had that much labor in their pocket. Like, they didn't even feel it. And there went all the connections I had made and all the guys that I knew and all the talking that I had done and shit, right? There it went right out the door. What I'm saying is, I think that if we got our shit together enough for a real revolutionary action, just the very beginning whisper of a promise of it would be enough for the cocksuckers that have all this shit now to try to fucking torch it as they ran for the hills, whatever the hills may be in this scenario.
All right, who's on next crack?
You can take next one. That's fine.
Okay, I disagree in that the whisper would be enough for it. I think that we have one of the most dangerous bourgeoisies, capitalist um, media control apparatuses in human history. And I follow the Leninist thinking in that the pre conditions for revolution is a that the position of the workers and the proletariat becomes so precarious that they can't go back to the old ways, and B, that the inverse happens, that the position of the ruling class becomes such that that can't remain tenable either. So everybody's wandering around, not knowing what to do, giving that, and in that position, things swirl and form and create that revolutionary moment.
Hell fucking yeah. God damn it, I knew hanging out with you guys would cheer me up. I've been miserable today. Hell fucking yeah.
Well, I'll make you miserable right now. Don't worry. Yes, not in our lifetimes. And the hard fact about it is we have socialist parties, we have real socialists, but outside of some local shit, we can't get anything done. So the first thing I would say is we're gonna have to be able to organize a fucking bake sale before we can worry about like doing it. So that uh,
I tend to not say that it's not possible because stranger things have happened. It's like
oh
usually when people say that, they say, "Oh, it's impossible to happen here or under this and under this," and they tend to be people who haven't studied history at all. They tend to be people who have like very little material analysis, and
yeah.
they tend to be people that like my response is usually it's not possible until it's possible. You know, part of that solution is that you have to work for it.
Yeah, you're going to actually have to do something. I mean, that's why I use the euphemism of the bake sale, right? You're going to
Yeah.
have to bother to do something, which is the hardest part for the heavily online left and so on. I mean, we're disorganized. Like we don't. A lot of thinkers say we don't have a left, but we have a shit ton of leftists.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Like
Yeah,
the fact that you're asking this question instead of saying, "Well, I don't know if it can happen or not, but I'm gonna try,"
yeah,
is
that's a
kind of
positive.
indicative of a thing.
At least the dream's
You're
alive.
right. You're right. The fact that that question is sometimes on so many of our lips when we're in like a, Q&A scenario, that right there, like that shows that that
And
there is
their
a
answer
compliment on us
answer
all.
of each individual is telling, because I see very hardworking Marxists. They'll say they're out here saying, "No, I don't believe it's possible," and you're just sitting here thinking to yourself like, "Why are you even here then?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna turn down your work or anything. You know, do you, buddy? I'm like, I'll take any help you can put out there. But like,
It's
if you really don't believe in it, why are you here?
it's
Th-
funny because it's funny because all of my successes have been so small that only I appreciate them. Like, and I imagine for some people it'd be hard to go on like that, but it to me, despite the grim circumstances that I just laid out, it really has been one of the most influential and helpful like things that I ever did where I changed the way that I thought to be like, okay, we're gonna do practical material shit. We're gonna organize these small things that we can control with the small amount of free will that our little monad has, like
I mean,
it,
let's be honest here. The future is already here. Only thing that the revolution would decide is if it's dystopian or utopian.
right.
yeah. I don't. Like I said, until we're ready to start having the bake sales,
Mm.
I'm not worried about too much. In the olden days, we had everything from proper apparatchiks to even like discipline. We had institutions. We don't have institutions right now, and we're
No,
in no place to build them because everybody's a fucking anarchist,
yeah,
no matter
That
what
is
their rhetoric
true.
is.
That is
individual
true. We
raw.
catch a lot of dudes.
Yeah,
We catch a lot of dudes out here in this part of the spectrum just because they're mad, right?
yeah.
Like we catch a lot of dudes that are just like basically nihilists, but something about our approach to why it's all bad appeals to them more than a right wing approach to why it's all bad.
It's time to storm the Bastille, and they're
Yeah,
like, "Let's go, let's
yeah.
liberate, let's go." And
Yeah.
then you got an anarchist back here, like, "Well, what about the rights of the guard working at the Bastille?"
You when they were talking about it was a couple years ago now, but there were a lot of left posts like, "Oh, we need to do revolutionary action. We just need to do it. The right wing would do it ad hoc. We need to do it ad hoc and let the chips fall where they may." And
No, that's not okay.
yeah, like you conveniently forget that like the right has money. They have money and labor. We just have potential labor. And like my favorite question was, well, what's the revolution's plan to take care of disabled combats who can't fight? Like I was like, how cold do you want me to be right now? At the very beginning, it's hope for the fucking best, my friend. Like,
Yeah,
if you, like, that's not the attitude to have. Is that you get to sit around while the revolution
Much
happens,
less,
buddy?
right. I'm not going to
much
be
less
able.
bail funds, much less medics, much less teachers to re-educate, much less like yeah,
Like,
all that.
Me personally, I'm not going to be able to make a vast series of events and possible like atrocities that like are going to branch out from some kind of flashpoint. I'm not going to
right?
be able to travel down all those circumstances and make all that shit wheelchair accessible. I'm definitely not going to be able to do that. And
Yeah,
And
I
that and
don't
that
think
and
it's
that and that
offensive for me
drags
to
and
say.
that drags me and that drags me back to when this quote I seen about the original October Revolution. It was saying like they were prepared to cause a ruckus, but they weren't prepared to take power. Like, are you
right.
prepared to take power? That's the real question.
Yeah,
Right.
It's not about it. Bringing it down is the easy part.
yeah.
Do you get that?
Actually, like when once it's precarious enough, yeah, that is a really like disturbingly easy part. You know what's funny about that? When it was the anniversary that like they measured, they measured in days how long the Paris Commune lasted, and literally the day after, right? So let's say it was 200 days. I forget off the top of my head, but on day 201 they threw a party because they never expected to be in power that long. Like they were like the bourgeoisie from every nation are coming for us. We're gonna do as much goddamn damn. Like that is the thing. Lenin, Lenin, Trotsky, Stalin, all those guys were just concerned with doing as much damage and showing that it was theoretically possible to overthrow them. Right? They were trying to put in your brain that God can die, that the bourgeoisie are indeed men, right? They never expected to have power. And when they got power, then they never expected to have it as long as the Paris Commune lasted. And then when that happened, they were like, oh, fuck, we run a country now. Like,
It's encouraging to think that like
there's like long-term plans you should have been putting in place day one. And
you
that's how
have
you
to,
got some and that's how you get some of those famines because you really literally didn't think you were going to be here.
well, those famines were, honestly, those famines were natural. They were
Yeah.
exacerbated by the actions of the kulaks, but
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like they it could have
you,
been like lessened. It could have been like there's plans you should have been putting in day one.
yeah, I will say that they like that one's always tough. Like that's a sore subject with me, I guess. So I'm gonna.
No, it is, and that's why I brought it up.
So you're right. So I would say you are correct that they should have been at least mindful of the fact that the famines were likely to come, as they always had. These were men, these were men who were anywhere between age what 20 and 40. It's likely they saw at least 5 famines in their lifetime.
It's like look out for that tree, my dude.
Yeah, it's like you drive down the same road all the time and you're like surprised at the tree that's there. Well, you shouldn't be.
Yeah, that highway floods in the same goddamn place every fucking year,
Yeah,
and you didn't think it would this year.
that's kind of on you, So like in that regard, but like in other regards, I'm a little more sympathetic to the Soviets in that because again, like
Oh, for sure.
yeah, I know who made it worse
Oh yeah.
because all they did, when they talk about like oh the Soviets were stealing our grain, Soviets did nothing we didn't do. They did the exact same thing. That's the dirty truth of it. They kept the market for food, which was, in my opinion, a bad decision, but they were. It's just as you said. You should have planned around that. If you wanted to eliminate certain markets to make sure things were more stable, you should have done that. That is on Lenin. That is on Stalin. That's on Trotsky. They didn't do those things, right? And there's a countless other bureaucrats who did not make their case properly. You know, people I don't know the name of, but there are countless of them who could have said, like, guys, we really should plan around an upcoming famine, and make them take it seriously on the off chance that they were in power when the famine happens. Um, they The next mistake was the fact that when they did what we did And frankly, the kulaks did exactly what MAGA did. They're going to put us under a 700-meter blanket, make us sleep in one long barracks. They're going to take our houses. They're going to take everything from us when they collectivize. Yeah, they did. I mean, they had the same MAGA conspiracy theories. It's we're we're not like, if they would teach this shit properly, we would see that we are not unique. We already did this. The Soviets dealt with it. Um, the Soviets were like,
That's
what
the
the
truth.
fuck are you guys talking about? They
Ain't
tried to
that the
argue with
truth?
them. What's that?
I said, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, they didn't argue with them on the grounds, like they tried debating them on the grounds of material reality, and then shifted immediately to force. They should have just shifted immediately to just, I mean, I hate to say it, but like, you could have solved a lot of those problems if you had just beaten them with a stick and screamed, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Take the money." And if we
Stick
catch you,
two pieces of bread. Stick two pieces of bread on their ears. What are you? A
yeah,
shit sandwich.
yeah, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, they needed discipline that they weren't getting, and the Soviets didn't know what to do. Right? They were like, why wouldn't these petite bourgeois see that they're workers? Well, they're petite bourgeois. They're not workers. Like, you of all people should have known that. You
Oh
know?
man, why are they salivating on bringing the market back?
Yeah.
That's
Why?
who they are. That's what they do. You
Yeah.
Like
wanna
it,
you wanna
maybe
you wanna you gotta let a hoe be a hoe.
Right.
like I'm always trying to simplify. Like if I'm talking to people about this shit, I'm always trying to simplify how you can tell. I'm trying to find some simple way to tell these motherfuckers how to tell who your ally and who isn't. Something I've been batting around a lot lately. Since we're doing this type of show. And what do you guys think about? What do you guys think about telling people to try to envision that if a guy gets up in the morning and he knows exactly what he has to do, he has to immediately go somewhere. That he's one of us.
Uh-huh.
But if he gets up in the morning and just makes up some shit to do every day, he's one of them. What do you think? Because it like that.
I
So we
I
just
don't
see a
I
lot
don't
of
follow what.
It's
okay,
whether or not the responsibility is natural or forced,
yeah,
right? So for a worker, then the responsibility is forced. For the bourgeoisie, the responsibility is whatever they naturally feel their responsibility should be. Yeah, that's simplified, but yeah,
like I want some way to be able to say to the motherfuckers that are stuck in that building with me that that's why you can tell we're all on the same team. If we weren't, we would leave, but nobody leaves.
well, they don't. For some reason, like, the right wing has really gotten the meme of, you have every right to starve if you want to out there. So not like,
The right to work state.
yeah. But I mean, but for real though, that's their argument, right? You have every right to
Yep,
starve if you want to. You don't have to go to work, which is like,
yep.
okay, but that's unrealistic. Like, but they are people who are also intentionally disjoined from material reality. So like,
Yeah, that sounds like a somewhere in that base superstructure realm.
Yeah, their whole
yeah,
existence at this point is easily written off as just like doing a big performative apology for the thing that they know is exactly as evil as it is. They just think that that's how things are. It's cool to be evil. It's going to be their turn one day. Like their whole thing now is just a defensive performance about like either look at some left wing crank shit I'm upset about this week, or here is a bunch of you know historically cherished reasons why it's okay that we have and will continue to do this.
yeah, it's odd. It's
That
very
is
Shit,
the
odd.
question, though. That is the question.
It is the
yeah,
question. I wish I had a
shit.
better answer for you.
We should take a fresh question. Shit,
Yeah.
I got time to do at least one more of these with y'all.
All right. You got any questions?
No, Chad doesn't have. The only thing that Chad has right now is True should apply for some boring ass government job.
I might get to one day. The reason it's so frustrating right now is that this thing is just a placeholder, really, and
Yeah.
something may jump off good with it, something may not, but it's really a placeholder, and everybody knows how that is. Everybody knows how frustrating that is. But yeah, I see myself doing something like that
Precarity.
someday. If I had time to actually pick a shot and actually land it, see myself doing something like that someday for sure.
Billy, we tell him that all the time. We really do. I have literally sat down and be like, here's where your state jobs are at. Here's how you apply. Get their money and then don't worry about it. Fuck it.
Yeah, and you don't have a black name, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yes, the Irish are still white last time I checked. It was straight.
Just barely. Just barely.
They'll pass, but they'll give you the side eye when you're passing.
I remember I'll tell you what, this is the thought experiment John used to like to torment me with till I finally got the answer I wanted. Um, you have items in the world that are clearly capital. You have items in the world that are clearly personal property, right? So a big difference there is your non-work computer versus your work computer. One's capital, one's your personal property that you can do whatever you want with it, right? What do you do about Jimi Hendrix's guitar post-revolution?
Oh, Jimi Hendrix guitar. God
Yeah,
damn it.
I know, right? I
This
really
again.
reached deep for this
God
one.
damn it.
And and my answer at the time was like, who the fuck cares? But some people do care. The answer I would
Yeah.
give now regarding Jimi Hendrix's guitar is really simple. Y'all ain't never heard. Do museums are those off the table? Like
Museums. Are they off the table?
like I would
Well,
imagine
if
a
you're
lot more
well,
of
if
them.
you're an African country, maybe.
Yeah.
The British Museum, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. So that's what I would argue there. Sometimes like they get in these weird situations. The better question was who runs the nuclear power plant post revolution and how do you like divvy up that work, right?
Yeah.
Because the anarchist attitude is, oh well, people will just volunteer to go in there.
Nah, you can't let that shit A be run by amateurs and B go without being manned for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the problem. When you take something like that over, you've got to fully shut it down, and then you have to have people who can fully reactivate it. That's real critical because like capitalism's very good about building in fail safes. If I can't have it, nobody can.
Right.
They're very I mean, I can't stress to you how good they are at it. And if you contemplate the nuclear power plant for a minute,
Oh, they're petty as fuck. They're so petty.
they'll absolutely go nuclear. They
The
don't care how many
pettiest
grandmas they
the
waste.
pettiest people in the universe.
Yeah, pettier than a fucking monarch because on some very low level, half of the monarchs who've ever existed have genuinely given some kind of abstract shit about the people in their nation. On some level, these are people who give zero fucks. They are like compared to a monarch, they are fucking ungenerous. That's the idea that really needs to be hammered home.
Yeah,
There,
if I can't have my quarterly profits,
yeah,
then everybody's going down.
everybody has to go down with me. Look at fucking Howie there. He literally
And then
has,
and then they and then they wonder why everything's so dysfunctional.
COVID.
What is this
COVID
about?
was
What is this
fun.
about Howie? You talking about Howie Hawkins?
No, not Howie Hawkins. Cute little
Oh, okay.
bastard. Um, that cute little bastard Howie Hawkins. No, that Howie Schultz, the Starbucks billionaire. His profits are
Howard
threatened
Schultz, yeah.
by the abstract condition of a union, right? In his shops.
Mhm.
He's got federal orders. He's got orders from Congress on how he's supposed to behave in those situations. Does he give two flying fucks? Hell no. He would rather shut down Starbucks than even begin to entertain the idea of a union.
Yeah, it shows just how petty they are too, because they end up paying more strike breaking than they would if they were to just pay out the demands.
Because to them it's the principle of it. You can't
Just
tell me what
straight
to
up
do.
petty. Straight up petty.
That fucker, who was that fucking son of a bitch in Pittsburgh. Frick. Over 20. Frick spent $4 million in 1800s monies, which is like a couple hundred million over the equivalent of $1 million today, and like $20,000 to strike break. He spent I get like wrap your head around that. He spent $4 million to strike break rather than tolerate a $20,000 demand.
It is. It's exactly what I was thinking of, and what you confirmed, that the way that I was feeling when I first came out of there tonight, which
Yeah.
was that they're just doing a ritual of fucking shitting on everybody. It just gets them hard at this point, right?
Well, because it's an exercise. Like ultimately, like the last thing they have is an exercise in control, and don't ever underestimate how important that control is to them. Never do it. They're so into it that the control is sometimes enough. Like even if it's not caught, like it is where the first order desire of profit can be overridden. It's the control.
Like Musk took all that loss to buy Twitter.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even
just
want
so
to anymore. They
just so
forced him to
people
do
won't
it.
bitch about it, so people can't criticize him.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's entirely an emotional action in a free market that's supposed to be about practicality and shit.
Emotional action. That's a nice way to say he's a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
What they would call what the economists would call it, because they are just simple adherents to vulgar capitalism and they have to. They would call it a smart and found fiscal decision to control opposition. What it boils down to is exactly what you both have said. He's a bitch. He's a
Yeah.
crybaby little bitch.
Fuck. All right. It was super fun kicking it with you
As
guys.
always,
I don't
Jim.
know. I don't know how late y'all are gonna go. I'm gonna go vanquish the rest of this shit. And if you're still on here, I'll see you on here. If not, I'll see you on the internets.
Yeah, we'll see what
All
happens.
right.
Playing it by
All right.
ear.
Hell
All
yeah.
right.
All right. Okay. Well, there's the question. What are your thoughts on Howie Hawkins?
Oh, that's the question.
Yep.
I like Howie. I genuinely do. I think that he's not tough enough on the right wing elements in his party. Um, but I get it. I get it.
I concur with that opinion.
Not everybody's revolutionary.
No, I think he's what we would call a tepid revolutionary. He doesn't have the backbone.
Yeah, yeah. It's
He's a good dude.
not everybody's got the teeth.
Yeah. We're not all gonna be kill 'em all, folks. It's like a Ben Burgess type, right? Like Burgess does not have he would not have the backbone to do
Mm-mm.
that kind of fighting.
No, and a lot of the academic types too.
Yeah.
When things start going off the rails or whatever, they're like, all right, well, let's write a paper about it.
Yeah. Let's sit back and watch what happens. That was a
Motherfuckers
lot of
is
the time.
dying. Motherfuckers is dying. Sharpen your swords, god damn it.
Yeah. You'd be surprised whose ass you could beat if you put a little effort behind it.
Right?
Yeah. They
They fall over it's like a house of cards over here. All you gotta do is just show up and they fucking fall apart.
it's I always find it interesting how the other revolutionary parties, like the real and successful ones, how they've handled the academic question. The Soviets did absolutely like get pissed off at them for like trying to sit it out.
Mhm.
Um, the Chinese gave them a stern warning that that shit wasn't gonna fly, that they weren't gonna be able to third way themselves into a position between the market and between socialism. And the North Koreans were like, at gunpoint, were like, "You're part of the revolution too. We don't want to be." I didn't ask. I don't recall
Yeah,
asking.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
That's an interesting statement you just made because I don't remember
That's
asking
some
you. Because my recall, I didn't ask you shit. I told you. But then, like in their, the North Koreans' defense, what their party, like what they say clearly in all of their, at least all of their, public advertisements, and yeah, let's face it, we can call it propaganda because we certainly see American propaganda every fucking minute of the day. In all of their propaganda, the academic is 1/3 of the triad, right? There's the
Mhm.
military, there's the worker, or we could call it the military labor, the non-military labor, and the intellectual non-labor labor. So they view them as integral to the situation. And like, let's be subtle about it. It's because somebody needs to figure out who's going to clean the toilets and organize when the toilets are getting cleaned. And that's kind of the pejorative they use. Um, but then like, as a show of allegiance or whatever, that no, 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 we would never hurt the academics, not like those nasty Soviets. Uh, no, you're one third
Right.
of the party. You have to be.
They'll just go in and turn your fucking universities into businesses.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, the Soviets were very, very aggressive about academics.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, you need to be educated.
Yeah, well, they were aggressive in
And
two
none of
different
it,
ways.
yeah, yeah.
One on the definitely you're going to get your ass educated and you should go to school, and a lot of public shame around not going to school, which I don't know if shaming that is helpful. Um, but on the other hand, again, like they were like, you know what, you could do your fucking job. What about Dennis Kucinich? I think he looks like a Keebler elf, but he was based for trying to present a bill about chemtrails, even though chemtrails aren't real. Um,
I actually don't know too much about them.
he was the hardcore left wing weirdo when we were young men.
Okay. Wait, was that the guy? Is that the guy who was completely blackballed?
Yeah, because he was fucking weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He Kucinich would have been the funniest option, even though Bush got the shoe thrown at him. He would have been funnier because he would have earnestly done exactly what you said. So putting out bills for chemtrails would have been hilariously awesome.
I forgot about that damn shoe. That was great.
But at the same time, I think we would have been further ahead because there was a Bernie candidate before Bernie, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. Could have accelerated that movement to about where we are now.
Yeah, we would have been a further step ahead. Um, and that's important. So we lost out,
Not
but
nothing.
he also would have been hilarious. I'm trying to think. I'm going back to that central question for the downtime in between questions. Um, who's another figure where like when you hear them talk, you're like, it's like 50-50 gamble. This is based or this is hideous. Marianne Williamson actually kind of falls in that category, right? Like I'm gonna take a
Yeah,
controversial
I could
stance.
agree with
Sometimes,
that. Yeah.
sometimes she says base shit, and sometimes I just want to fucking I die cringing, and then I have to like get resuscitated. Her
No, I
project
can,
can't pass though. She can't win.
no.
Not, and mind you, I'm not saying that like we have to defeat her. Like anybody whose project is we have to bring the left and right together from a left perspective is doomed to fail.
Hmm.
You miss the point because she like people are people. So I was watching TYT and somebody asked her, and I know I'm watching TYT, whatever. Um,
No, I get it. You like to make fun of them or whatever you do.
critique.
You
It's
like to critique,
sincere
yeah.
critique. You like make fun of them. It's sincere critique. I'm that guy. I'm that guy now. Um,
Is that what it is? Because I was always I thought you just had some kind of morbid fascination with them.
look, you got to get your news from somewhere, and I
Something,
know their
something about Tank.
shortcomings.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
I
I just couldn't watch it anymore. It just got too bad.
I wanted to vote for Kucinich, but Obama got the nomination. Yeah, and in that era, we were all less politically aware. Let's be real about it. Obama's failures made a lot of us more politically aware. Although, like, I can remember being how old would I have been? I think I can remember being 22, and when Obama won the first time, my roommate and I drug our couch in the front lawn and drank Old English 40s to scare the neighbors. And And we made sure like to wear communist paraphernalia as like a troll, you know what I mean? Because they were all like, he's gonna bring in Marxism. We're like, fuck yeah, whatever, based. And we're like shit libs, you know what I mean? But we're like, yeah, troll the Republicans. And then then like the alleged like liberals were like, he's gonna bring in Marxism. We gotta do something about Obama and rein him in. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? That guy ain't no goddamn Marxist. I was like, hold on, what are they scared about Marxism? And I reread the manifesto. I was like, I think I'm gonna start dwindling vaguely down this path and see where it goes. And here I am, right?
I just thought it'd be cool as shit to have a black president.
Yeah.
Little did I know.
Bit you in the ass.
Well,
It's
well,
great.
we now know the phrase "skinfolk ain't kinfolk," ain't always kinfolk.
Yeah, there are positives.
I mean, they do that. They do that. Candace Owens self-hating bullshit for a reason, you know.
They do. All right, next question is Ralph Nader based or nah? He's mid.
I actually like Nader. I like Nader.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Like mid is fine. I
Mid is fine. Mid is there's nothing wrong with mid.
ignore all the tankies we hang out with on Twitter for a moment. Mid is fine. Nader has some weird points, but Nader has some good points. A lot of his interpersonal shit is weird because we're not culturally acclimated to it. Like, let's be fucking bare bones about that.
I like that he actually likes to go out and talk to people.
Yeah.
It's a rare trait. It's a rare trait to see in a politician.
Nader is not unsympathetic to critiques of capitalism either. I will say that as well. Which, again, I wouldn't call him a hardcore Marxist revolutionary, so I wouldn't call him based, but he certainly isn't cringe. He's mid. Okay, next up, the nakedest. Do you think that there is any single right-wing figure that could be satire parody that would cause the right to actually falter? Ooh, okay, so let's say we got to redact one right-wing figure to try to bring them all down. Is there one that you think would do the most damage or actually trip them up?
That is an interesting question. One right wing figure.
You get one. Who does the most? You gotta maximize value here. We gotta think like a capitalist. We gotta profit off
Okay.
this endeavor.
Who has the most fun? Who has the most money? Who does the most money in the ring?
Well, it's probably the Mercers, were like a Sheldon Adelson type.
Okay.
You're going with them.
Um, I don't know. It's an interesting question
I
because I mean I get that money in this system is influence and power, but there's also cultural power and relevance. That before not too long, um, Nazis were still the enemies on the villains on TV. And very quickly it shifted, and I wonder who had a really big say in that. Think maybe you think it was Carlson, old Tucky Tux.
I would have to say I would say it would have to be somebody who's really good at linking donors to to laborers, right? So if we consider the politician a political laborer, the person who's really fucking good at that, you snipe them out, they would become a lot more disorganized at that top level, and then a lot of that hatred at the bottom would be diffused.
Mm,
Any one individual is too inconsequential to matter. It's about shutting down modes. This is
true.
the anarchists worry about individuals, and God bless them, they're little doers. Again, I have never ever criticized an anarchist for being a doer. Like that guy who tried to put 9 bullets in Frick like he thought that was actually going to help like bring down capitalism. Not at all a proper understanding of the situation. But God help me, I can't be mad at that little doer because at least he
Mm-mm.
tried.
Yeah, but we've known this for a long time now. You wipe out a capitalist, and you know two more are gonna step up to try to fight and take their place.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who leaves the biggest power vacuum. that causes infighting. Like if you
I think it's made tougher by the fact that we don't have like this isn't like this isn't like 2016, where it's like the answer is obvious. It's like a time when like things are all in limbo.
yeah, it's a lot more chaotic right now overall, even though it doesn't feel as chaotic. Because unfortunately, like the pacifying figure right now is a Democrat, which for legal reasons we should not continue that line of thought.
Mm-mm.
Um, yeah, I would have to say it has to be somebody who's really good at linking donors to potential political pawns. That would probably be the most effective death. Somebody who could disorganize the party, because as it tends to be, those people at the top only really have money, like a Murdoch or like a McConnell at the both ends of those spectrums. One holds a lot of
Yeah,
political
I
power.
was just thinking maybe McConnell.
Yeah, he would be the closest to. He would be the closest to destroying their vision and cohesion.
Yeah, it's like taking out their architect.
Yeah, they. So with McConnell, if he were deceased, they lose a person who has a vision of how right wing politics should be conducted for the ends that right wing politic wants. And he's very good about making decisions that further that. In that regard, he, I guess the colloquial way you could say it is he either studied at the same school as Nixon or he's a good protege of Nixon because Nixon was very good at making those decisions and surrounding himself with those kind of decision makers. Um, so losing somebody like that unexpectedly would throw some disarray because there would be too many people competing for his spot. They don't really have a solid architect they trust. Like Kevin McCarthy, and this is just to use American politics. I mean, globally speaking,
Hmm.
like the security guard for the security, like the security, okay, the head of security for any one of these people would be probably the most effective because it would show that they're not untouchable
Yeah.
without actually having to do anything to them and actually taking that next step of applying force. You could do a lot of damage because they would be mortified at the idea that they are not untouchable. That would probably be the most cost effective. Bang for your buck. This is a fun thought experiment, and thought experiment only. But yeah, as a general rule, like the political actors you see out front are supported by massive teams behind them. So like it's more important to get at that team than it is them. Even though they tend to be the architects of the crime, right? They tend to be the ones who have final say on whether or not to commit the crime and so on. That's one of those like fascinating quirks about Hitler. Like if Hitler was just a like let's be crude for a moment. If Hitler were just a drunk on the street trying to hand out his pamphlet Mein Kampf and yelling about the Jews, would we even remember him? No, it's because he had access to so much labor and utilized it to those ends and organized it to those ends. But to do that, he had to have that mid-tier work done by a whole bunch of people who could essentially translate his fucking gibberish and spit out a cohesive set of policies. That's why like the great man theory is bullshit because behind every great man is countless amounts of human labor.
Yeah, I've been learning more and more about great man theory, and apparently, it's part of the reason that your Afrocentrists have the ideas that they do,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
they're oversubscribing to the great man thinking and
Yeah.
completely disregarding the actual contribution of everyday black people to their own struggle.
Yeah, would Martin Luther King, take MLK, would MLK be remembered as much as he is if it weren't for the countless hours of labor put in by other people? And the answer is no. It doesn't make Martin Luther King as an individual human being any less valuable, but it like to only think about somebody like MLK, well, you're you can easily get into the idea that he somehow like wielded this inordinate influence or something like that. Manson isn't shit if Manson doesn't have Squeaky Fraun. Squeaky Fraun makes Manson more than Manson makes Manson. Because again, it's the problem with the guy on the street ranting and pissing himself. You know,
The end is nigh.
in that regard, like there's your best example. Do you take out Charles Manson or do you take out Squeaky Fraun? Well, probably Squeaky Fraun because she actually planned the murders. Charles just co-signed them and was giddy that they were happening. He's just a visionary author in this case. Fraun is the one doing the dirty work. So that's how you kind of need to conceive of the political parties. Unfortunately, like there's a lot of ideologues behind those figures who act. This is a good question though. I like this one. Thank you, chat.
With the bangers. Chat with
Well,
the bangers.
our chats are way better than people just pressing F for respect or putting peepees in chat and eggplant emojis and shit and just or like talking to Vouch. Like that's okay.
Ugh.
We said his name long enough now. If the Vouchites hear it, we will get artificial exposure. We fucking won. Vouch once said though, like Vouch has one of my favorite comments. He was like, no, no, no. It is organizing to sit all day in your house watching my stream. For,
What?
for what end, motherfucker? For what end? What are you doing with that? Nothing. They're watching a white guy rant. Like there are ideological reasons. Like you have no idea how weird we really are. There are ideological reasons for why we are fucking broadcasting this late at night. Because most likely, unless you out committing actual motherfucking felonies for socialism, you ain't doing shit. This is a time of day when you weren't doing shit anyway, and we don't require you to participate very hard.
Well, I mean, honestly, you live under the capitalists. You got a job. Like I can't do it at fucking 3 p.m.
Yeah,
I mean, if you guys want to donate to Patreon and change that circumstance for me, yeah, we could make things happen. But
yeah, we can't make
uh,
this our all day labor. And then, frankly, if we do that, we're no better. Because the only people we're going to appeal to are people who are either too young to do anything about it or who aren't fucking successful enough to contribute to the cause anyway. They're just looking for somebody to vent aggrievement on. I don't need that audience. That audience is useless. It's not worth anything. I mean, that's harsh, but eh. Am I wrong? I don't think so.
nah,
Grant, Granted, I'm fucking arrogant, but we have no need for that audience. We need an audience of fucking real ass people who can do, if you wanted our big, if you wanted our big arrogant ideological perspective, right? We need people who can affect little things about socialism in their lives, so maybe we can fire off that fucking bake sale and get some forward fucking traction. But they have to be authentic individuals because they have to be people other people can fucking relate to. Everybody on fucking like left tube and all this bullshit, our media structures are unfucking relatable. Rich Turkish guy and Georgian woman who can talk people into changing their minds about the fucking Armenian genocide. Like that's not our lived experience. We're not all in fucking LA or New York City. Most of us, despite what they believe, live elsewhere. So you have to have normal people who think like this. And we have to show that normal people think like this, and we have to live that normal experience also thinking like this and doing these things. That's how you affect any kind of positive change at our level. That's it. That's what locks us down and helps us out. So
normal ass people doing badass shit.
that's right. That is exactly right. Normies doing socialism. Because what are they going to do then? We got the normies, pal. And that's who you need. You need the proles. Not people whose job is to talk in front of a camera all day and be like, it's ridiculous that this would ever happen. You motherfucker, you don't know. Like, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
see. I see a lot of people. Honestly, with the Twitter discourse going back and forth, I see a lot of people like, okay, you're starting to use the big words out of nowhere. Like, who are you really attracting with that?
Yeah. That's my number one problem. I always use the big words.
Like you're already going in the lumping pro, and you're like, oh, you lost them. You lost them.
Yep, you got weird on them. You won your
How is this?
fight and
How is
quit the
this?
battle.
How is this helping me?
Yeah.
And Matt, go into the question along with the perspective of the person thinking, how the fuck does this help me?
Uh huh. It's the same with getting rid of their goddamn moralizing. All right, we got a few more questions here. Squeaky
Okay.
Nut planned the murder. She's in prison for trying to kill Jimmy Carter. I thought Squeaky planned the murders. She certainly fucking executed. And she tried to execute on Jimmy Carter.
When you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yep. And when you're a racist, everything looks like a race war. His race war plan was awesome though. Like I'm sorry, it was the funniest one. Charles Manson, self-proclaimed king of the blacks. So, it really is. All right, have you ever worked through it? Have you ever heard his plan? It does rock.
No, I haven't actually. Please, I'm interested.
Okay, are you ready for this? All right, step 1, get really high and bang in the desert. Step 2, murder a bunch of famous white people and claim the blacks did it. Step
Oh
3,
boy.
wait for race war. Step 4, wait for blacks to win in the race war because of their superior genetics but inferior intelligence. Step 5, emerge as the last white man who can lead the blacks.
All
Charles
right.
Manson, king of the black people.
Totally sane plan.
Absolutely the sanest plan. Totally. I like how he's like, okay, what will happen is clearly black people are going to win because white people suck at fighting. But then black people are going to realize they're too fucking stupid to rule. And then I'm going to pop out of the fucking desert and go, don't worry, I look like Jesus and I can lead you because I'm white and therefore de facto am more smarterer. Oh, yeah. And the black people will be like, you know, all those whites we spent time killing? Well, let's stop that and let's follow this white guy instead and make him our king. Or president. I don't know what title he had planned, but just
Incident.
no. Manson. I that wouldn't that be a funny fucking like black supremacist who's like Manson's our king? Like that would I would laugh. I'm gonna tell you right now, that would have me howling.
I Yeah, I don't know how that would go over in the hood. I have no idea.
I can't imagine too well. Also,
Yeah,
you're gonna have to get better at framing black people if that was gonna work. I'm just saying, Charlie, there were some flaws in your plan. Just saying, buddy. I'm not trying to be mean, but I am trying to point out the fatal flaw there. You suck at framing the blacks. Squeaky lived in the house, not the actual ranch. She didn't participate in the murder. She lived in the house with the guy they rented Spawn Ranch from. Manson was fucking her. You know Manson was fucking her. All right, which was the one who planned it? Either way, I don't. For me, this is a minor point. The point overarching is Manson wasn't smart enough to do any of this shit, and he needed a woman's help. It required a woman's touch to murder Sharon Tate. Jesus, that's dark.
mm,
This is where like this will sound really weird, but this is where I kind of appreciate Ted Kaczynski more than Charles Manson in the long run because like every fucking news agency was like, my God, Ted Kaczynski is a genius. Have you read his manifesto? Such a tortured, brilliant mind. And Kaczynski was like, look, I'm a fucking mathematician. I wrote some dumb shit in a book, and well, I don't know why everybody's like, I'm smart. I'm smart at math. I'm not. I'm not a writer. I'm not really all that politically coherent. I wouldn't form, or I wouldn't consider ideology on the basis of me, which is like the most intelligent thing I've ever heard, which was like, look, I'm kind of a fucking moron. Why are you people listening to me?
Yay! He's so smart. Yay!
But for
Didn't you
real
hear me?
though,
Didn't you hear what I said?
yeah. Wow, Kaczynski's so brilliant and humble. No, I'm not. I'm not humble. I'm being honest with you. I'm kind of a moron and made bad decisions. Wow, Kaczynski's so brave. No, I'm not brave. I did bad things to people, and now I'm getting punished for it because I was a fucking weirdo idiot who wasn't taking his meds. Oh my god, just read his manifesto. It's genius. Jesus fucking Christ, do you people not listen to me? Do I just send some more letter bombs together?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
dense motherfuckers.
You goddamn idiots. What is wrong with all of you? Stop calling me smart. Why do you keep calling me smart? I said I'm dumb, damn it. So
I
brave.
just wanted to be mid.
Yeah. It's not a biting critique. I was off my medicine and did horrible things. Since he's the only one who's like, I deserve to be where I am, thank you.
Visionaries for the ages.
Yeah. Why are you people praising me? God damn it. Stop. You're making
What
me
is
feel
wrong with
weird.
you people?
Only a select few participated in the murder. The plan them knew about them. They all went down for it. That's why Squeaky was out and free and then tried to kill Jimmy Carter, but the gun jammed. Manson didn't plan any of the murders. The dumb kids on acid came up with it. So why was Manson put in there? What, they put him in for accessory for life? Now I'm fighting with chat.
Something about um, something about property or something.
Something about property or something.
I don't know.
Should we have
I
another
don't know.
three
I don't
hour
know how
fight
you
about
white people
private
do.
property that goes in circles? Should we do that?
No, I'd rather do the persona thing. That's good evergreen content. Don't want to waste that on any day.
No, not on this day. Huh? This is fun. This is where I get to tussle with chat and answer the hard hitting questions from chat. And you know what? In my
Yeah,
defense, I will say this. This is my only defense of myself here. I never said I knew everything. True crime shit usually evades me. The only thing I happen to know about is Ted Kaczynski because I had always heard growing up that he was a genius. And honestly, the person who disagrees with that most is Ted Kaczynski. He openly said, I was kind of a fucking idiot and don't know shit about politics. I don't know why you people think I'm such a fucking poignant critique. But I can remember, like, as a kid, the media being like, wow, he was really smart, though. To which, again, Teddy would reply, at math, I was smart at math. And even then, like, his hubris is, I'm smart at math, and, like, debatable. Debatable that he was any more brilliant than any of the rest of them.
that does raise questions about the evaluation of intelligence.
Yeah. He was a right Luddite. Like, that's it. That's all he was. He was a right wing Luddite. He was afraid. And honestly, he was one of these fucking people who had freaked himself out about fucking AI and computers. He just did it first. So he turned himself into a goddamn Luddite and started dropping bombs on people in mathematics departments. That's it. That's the Ted Kaczynski is not, he's nothing fucking special. I don't there's no fun facts about him other than like, yeah, he did write the most base letter ever though while he was in the middle of his throes of fucking psychosis. He wrote to the
Hmm.
FBI. He's like, I won't turn myself in, but as a show of good faith, I will not send any new letter bombs. I will allow any that have been detonated to go, but if you find them, I won't be mad and I won't try again. But I also reserve the right to send letter bombs in the future if I deem it's necessary. It's like,
Maybe a few if I'm good as a treat.
yeah, I might send one or two if I'm feeling it.
This whole vibes thing.
Yeah, he was the first vibe check guy. It all started because the dentist they bought drugs from sold them bad drugs, which they sold to the Hells Angels. The dentist wouldn't refund the money. Kids killed the dentist, and Manson was pissed because he wanted them to extort the dentist for money. Well, yeah, but that doesn't answer why is he in jail though, or does it? Is that why he's in jail for extortion that led to murder? We're getting Manson pilled tonight, apparently.
Yeah. What is the fascination?
I don't know. I know the Beach Boys were fascinated with him, but they contest how much he actually wrote, which like also means he made subpar music. I don't know how that. I don't know how you win in that fight because your argument is either a he made subpar music. Like from his perspective, it's I am proud to have made that subpar music, but from their perspective, no, 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 we made that subpar music all our fucking own. So take it as you will, I guess.
It's subpar music, but it's our subpar music.
It's our bullshit music, thank you.
Definitely changes the meaning of surfing USA.
Everybody's surfing for Sharon Tate's head.
Down, 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 Sharon Tate's head.
I did. You know what? The base part about that is they were trying to. I think they were trying to murder. If I remember right, and this chat will correct me happily. Allowed him to continue the band, Young Pussy, and do drugs. Yeah. I believe they were trying to get Roman Polanski actually. Or he was supposed to be there because I think that was her husband. I don't know. We're talking about people who like I don't really care that much about. It sucks that Sharon Tate got fucking iced like that, but that's a crime so old. Like I can just it's like Lennon getting syphilis. Like I can feel bad about it, but only in an abstract sense. But what am I supposed to do about it now? He would have died by now anyway.
He did.
He is in jail because the prosecutor had to blame someone. Well, I feel like the perpetrators would have been blamed. Like that would be like I don't know why the prosecutor had to work so hard. That had to be a personal vendetta again. But like to be fair, also at best he was a neo-Nazi provocateur. So like fuck him. I don't care if Tucker Carlson goes to jail for life just because he's like the white trash version of that. Like I don't care. Beach
I
Boys
would love
literally
it.
stole songs from him. Now see that's what I always heard too that he had wrote those songs. Which like frankly the Beach Boys had in
Hey,
their career.
that's the music game.
Yeah,
People steal shit from everybody all the time.
that's true. And who are they gonna believe? The Beach Boys or Charles Manson?
They could literally just copy a riff, whole new songs. Didn't invent that riff, get famous, never hear about the person who made it, especially if they were black.
Oh fuck, my front door didn't shut. Hold on.
All right, yeah.
Give me 2 seconds. Squeaky is the reason Manson got to meet the Beach Boys. She was banging one of the Beach Boys. Gross. See, there's a crime that she should go to jail for. We could have had her
Like,
locked up, tight, and then we could have denied the Beach Boys pussy, which both of those things are based.
nah, they probably would have went to some sketchy club. You know the ones. Beach Boys. This is the most I heard about the Beach Boys in years. What is that about?
Oh, they're trying to kill the Beach Boys manager who used to live in that house. You know a shit ton about true crime.
What is the Beach Boys obsession here? What is that about?
Apparently, then they were trying. It sounds like they were trying to frame Manson. They're killing the Beach Boys manager who used to live in the house that now Sharon Tate occupied. That's the vibe I'm getting. I gotta be honest, we're spending way too much time on this.
Yeah, do we have any other questions?
It's like I just know, like, you have now found the blind spot in Dan's knowledge is true crime. The only thing I happen to know about is Ted Kaczynski because Kaczynski is weirdly political in a
I
way that
never
isn't.
I never liked true crime myself.
No,
It was always a whole lot of, oh, what's going on with this and this and this?
and then
Well,
Ian's.
the cops aren't solving problems because they're nailing it on innocent black people. So,
Yeah, true crime takes on a new meaning when you look at that.
all the whole serial killer true crime thing, I just don't vibe with it.
No, every now and then I read something about them, like just on a weird like Wikipedia roll, but as you can see, I don't know much. The prosecutor literally said
You-
Manson had the power to stop watches. It's in the prosecutor's book.
What?
They were really mad at Charlie, but again, like that dude. Like I'm gonna be really cold with Manson. My old man likes Manson, so I know he's kind of a piece of shit. Because my dad is not famous for liking like he's not a fan of Lennon, let's say. And I understand that is
Controversial take
entirely
right there.
yeah. And like I understand completely that is a guilt by association. I lose, ad hominem, whatever, but like I'm gonna be real. Like Dad's good for a fun story about Thanksgiving and shivs, but the consequences of my father's decision making I felt for a very long time in my life. So when he's like, "Yeah, Manson's cool. Let me tell you all about him," I was like, "No, that's okay. I don't. I'm not a fan."
Yes, my dad too also loves piece of shit people for very questionable reasons.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you want to go to the Buffalo Soldier Museum and not any of the other museums? I don't understand it, but okay.
What the hell were the Buffalo Soldiers?
They wiped out Native Americans. They were blacks that wiped out Native American
Oh.
black soldiers. Yeah,
Hmm.
he's a military man.
Yeah, I knew that. That now makes a lot of sense in an awkward way.
Yeah, yeah.
Just say the old man lived an outlaw, drug-fueled life, and he appreciated certain facts about Charles Manson that,
Outlaw country.
yeah, something like that. Something that I would consider to be more unfortunate than anything.
And how unfortunate.
Okay, true crime is my area of expertise. Manson was an accessory after the fact, but basically went down as the ringleader.
I mean, okay. You sure are interested in Manson. Are you okay, buddy?
Oh yeah, he's fine. Like I said, just this is where Dan is not an expert. Wow, fuck. Wait, what about instead of Barbara Ann, it's McCain's down again? McCain's down again. Oh, he's fallen from his tomb. We're crashing every airplane. John McCain's down, down again. Oh, I got there. I got there.
You
You
did it.
remember when he did that cringy shit, Bomber Ann? You remember that?
No, what?
Yeah, John McCain did a little ditty to the tune of Barbara Ann called Bomber Ann.
What?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Oh yeah. As
All, I,
awkward.
all the only thing I remember about John McCain is torture cages.
Well, hey, listen, we got to give him some respect. He did bring down a lot of American aircraft.
Okay,
Yeah.
I, that I did not know.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, he was the best Vietnamese fighter pilot.
Was he?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. He took down something like 9 American aircraft by himself.
Damn.
Yeah. All of them crashes and he was the pilot.
Oh.
I didn't know you didn't know that.
Nah.
What are you gonna do, John?
I know. They often have these military careers, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. But damn, how do you have 9 crashes? How does no one take your license away with 9 goddamn crashes?
My mom was a Manson girl. She didn't know about the murder there. God damn, dude.
A Manson girl? What was this,
That's
like a
one of his
groupie?
ladies. Yeah, kinda. Capital Steps, the group. Around. Yeah, dude. McCain did this really cringy ass shit. Like I don't even know what event he
Well,
was
yeah,
at
he's
now.
a.
Well, okay, yeah, but like he was like somebody's fail son, and then he fucking he's somebody. Okay, first off, he was somebody's fail son until everybody got busted. Then she learned of the murders. God damn, dude. You have had a rougher life than I have. I'm just gonna put it out there. That was a rough round of facts. Um, yeah. So McCain was like, I think it was like I want to say it was some. I mean, okay, I can cover my ass here because now it's like through the glaze of memory, right? He was at some kind of conservative event and he was talking about how we needed to attack Iran, and this is back in I want to say '07 or early '08. Now it would have been '07 because it was pre-election.
Warhawk's gonna Warhawk.
No, it might have been earlier than that. I might be thinking of the '03. It might have been during the Republican primary of '03 for the election of '04. It's either that or I can't see again, haze of memory. I can't remember if it was pre-Obama or if it was the Obama election. But he basically has this conservative event and he's trying to gin up like, "Oh, I'm crazy enough to fucking attack Iran too."
That just sounds like wishful thinking.
Well,
I'll do it. I'll do it. Someone give me an excuse.
yeah,
Say I won't do it. Say I
we're
won't do it.
we're not dealing with their best. You're
Nobody wants you to do it.
no,
I'm gonna do it.
damn it, stop. Yeah, but it was old. It was old. I really want to say it was the Obama election though. because it was just another fucking gaff move on his part. The From the Republicans' perspective, the best and worst thing he did was invite crazy into the party as like on the national stage. Because before that, they were all just weirdos who cheated on their wives and committed pedophilia, right? And they were like, oh yeah, that's fine. But they were all basically the same kind of normie. And you
Wait,
can be
he
like,
invited crazy into the Republicans?
yeah, Sarah Palin.
They're all crazy.
Because Sarah Palin did the Trump shtick before Trump did, but Trump did it best.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He definitely outplayed her.
Oh, hell yeah, there's no way. And that's why she immediately was like, that's my guy right there. Yeah, it sure is, Sarah. Got, got our asses on that one, I'll say that.
Straight up coping and seething in the background.
Yeah.
Oh my shtick.
You can't put lipstick on a pig. Oh, but you can mouth fuck it. How'd you like that one?
That was good. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Not even gonna lie, that was pretty tight.
Still face fuck it. Ugh. Yeah, Pam was a piece of shit. By the way, welcome to chat. Ben, we are taking live Q&A tonight. Whatever question you got burning on your mind, we are taking until we're bored.
And the parrots are away, so we can get spicy.
Yeah, no jinx, so we can get hyper spicy. If not, I'm just going right back to that original question of people who have, depending on what you hear come out of their mouth, it's based or cringe. Um,
People who, depending on if their mouth is based.
I guess like a lot of TYT is right. Like they're either sometimes they say something base, but most of the
I
time
don't
it's
think
downright cringe.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything based out of TYT in a minute.
You know what though? You intentionally try to avoid them. That's not.
Oh, true. That's the thing. Like, there's a balance, you know.
Yeah.
So sometimes they get it right in like the case of an old Irmy, where it's like, you get more bass than cringe,
Oh
and
yeah.
and then in other cases it's like all cringe with the occasional bass, like a fucking, I don't know, shoe or something.
Yeah, Arami, it depends on what era you're watching him in.
Yeah, this whole new era, I don't even know, bro. Like, I literally had to unsub. I was just like, I can't do this with you.
Not you.
I can't, bro.
Why are you doing this to me, Arami? Why
You,
are you
you
doing this?
took all my goodwill and threw it in the trash. I get it. You got to get your cash, my dude. But you're not talking to me at this point.
Yeah, he's
You're talking to chuds at this point, my dude.
well,
Yeah, white women are a problem.
yeah, conveniently no class analysis in that statement.
Mm-mm, none.
Because if you take Arami at his word, right? If you take him at the face of his word, even though he's acutely aware of class, right? And he's acutely aware of income distributions. In fact, that makes up a lot of his arguments, right? He never just says the obvious as if he's either a like and like that's always kind of a warning sign, right? Because like
Shots
sometimes
fired.
you should repeat the obvious. Sometimes you should because that helps people know where you're at. And he seems strangely unwilling to state the obvious.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of black conservatives who are, and this is just my observation of people out here now that would easily be like ultra left, like commies,
Yeah.
but like there's no bridge for them to reach that place. So then they become chuds.
Well, they have to become chuds
And
to survive.
like seeing seeing people I respect just spitting the dumbest transphobia I've ever seen in my goddamn life is it kills me inside.
Yeah. Well, it's
Black people, you know what I mean? Like we don't have the same amount of diversity and opinion as white people because this whole subset that's just trying to kill us.
that that does that does narrow thought, doesn't it?
So like to side with those guys, like what the fuck is?
Well, yeah, that would be like his when he's like, well, that's why they're deciding to become girls rather than stay boys. It's like,
And that's where I think Aramis
ugh.
at myself. I feel like we give him like maybe 6 months, he's gonna start talking about anti woke and and turfs and turf shit, turf violence shit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's already starting.
Is he? I haven't been listening.
Well, I mean, if you're starting with the premise like, okay, the premise the left starts with is that there are people who are, and this is older now, but not in the right body. There's something intrinsically wrong about the body they're born with, right? Hence the designation of assigned male at birth, assigned female at birth. And that the process of transitioning is a multifaceted thing, but it's about essentially arriving at the proper identity, with the non-binary being something where being something of a cultural and social relationship problem where the recognition of just in the traditional gender dichotomy is insufficient to describe their existence, right? Well, Irami's framing is that essentially the boys are picking to transition to girls, which, okay,
Mm,
let's say that it is just an ad hoc de jour option for a moment. His premise as to the reason why is because society is nicer to girls overall, which we've had this talk. If you ignore all the rape, I agree. They get cuter toys. But if your basis is that these are boys who just want to play with the cute toys, and they would be satisfied by playing with the cute toys, which you've explicitly said is insufficient because they need to grow up to be masculinized men, right?
yeah. And then he
Well,
starts talking about the family. There's still the family in there, and you've got a complete Arami.
yeah, because of course if they're not men, then they're not going to be prepared to have discussions with a partner to be able to run a family. Right now, I did it. So,
There it is.
well,
There
okay.
it is.
Let's say for a second that I, Dan Cohen, 100% agreed with that. What can't I explain? What completely refutes it, right? Or what prompts a second darker explanation that doesn't make any sense? It's simple, but because of the way we talk about trans people as a group, as a whole identity, you can't think of it. That's the programming of capitalism, right? Because ask the obvious question: why in the fuck would any woman transition into being a man then? She would have to be completely. She would have to be completely masochistic to transition to make the decision to become a man, because men are more put upon in society and men are more butchered. Of course, we're at a higher risk of suicide and depression and going to jail. We are the gender that gets murdered by the police most often. 99 times out of 100, it is us. We're also all completely rapists. And if you listen to people like Arami, we're ain't shit men. We're insufficient. So why in the fuck would you join the team? What's the payoff for a trans man? Note that the turf is never talking about a trans man, and when they do, it's in passing and with disdain, but they don't focus on it very long. And in Arami's
You
argument,
almost never hear him talk about it.
right, and until I said it, I bet you were having a little bit of difficulty arriving at the answer. And that doesn't make you bad, it's because of the way we frame the trans issue. We are entirely focused around womanhood, which, if you're Arami and your focus is hating white women functionally, where you're married to a white woman, which that leads to some like suspicious, like, what's going on in that marriage day to day, right? Did you get the best of the white women, or are you mad at your wife? Like, I don't know what's going on there, bro, but you have an odd focus on white women overall. as compared to and he'll definitely rag on white men, but the focus, just like with the turfs, it's not that he won't rag on them, but you can tell where his disdain lies, right? And he's not too happy about black women. Although to be fair, I've been going through black woman Twitter, and I got to tell you, hit or miss, hit
Oh
or
yeah,
miss.
it is. It is an
S-
odd place.
Some of those are better comrades, and their randos are higher quality learning than I am. The others, holy shit, holy shit.
Yeah, I saw. What was that shit?
Well, they were
This
tormenting that
shit
poor child who just got
talking
shot.
about fucking talking about fucking yeah that, and then that bitch was talking about like, oh, you can't afford it. If you're a woman, your job is to be pretty, and if you're a man, your job is to make money, and if you don't have a pretty girl, you just can't afford it.
Yeah,
Like
real
holy
fucked
shit,
shit.
holy shit.
And again, I appreciate that Arami is sympathetic to our black brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate that he's sympathetic to their plight in this country. And
But
I
he's
don't.
sympathetic in that same way that a chud is sympathetic to white men, you know?
Well,
It's
that is the
only because
problem.
he's on that team, right? It's only because it happens to me that he
Ah,
cares.
and that's what we've arrived at, isn't it? Because if you have black kids with a white woman, what do you get? You're going to get light-skinned kids, which if you're if you're a black capitalist and your goal is to extenuate black capitalism, what is your obvious payoff? Your obvious payoff is to have lighter skinned children because lighter skinned children suffer a
Mhm.
little bit less. So that gives them an
Mhm.
advantage.
So then we're right back to that what self-hating black people shit that we was talking about earlier in the chat.
Bingo. We're right back around to it. So we've arrived at that. And that's like the everything else I was like those
He's
are
got to he's
slightly
got to
nuanced.
he's got to support black men cuz he's too dark to use skin lightener.
Yeah, it would look weird.
You
Let's be
can't
real.
at his level of features, you can't fucking get that Michael Coleman nose job.
Hell no. So he feels entitled to act a certain way because he's still supporting the system of oppression.
Mhm.
He just wants to, again, he's just like a Candace Owens type would just rearrange the order. Ben Shapiro would rearrange the order. It doesn't mean they're anti. It means they're just rearranging the deck chairs on the fucking Titanic.
And I be seeing him out there with that fucking oh, just if you get rid of capitalism doesn't mean you're going to automatically get rid of racism, but if you're supporting capitalism, you're definitely supporting racism. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, yeah. You may or may not be racist if
You
you're
got one side
anti-capitalist.
of it, but you got one side of it, but you missed the entire other side.
Right. And if you're anti-capitalist, it's probably easier. Your racism takes on a form that is probably far more manageable and can be blanketed far more easily to be ineffective. Right?
Right, right, because you're not dealing with the interlocking oppressions.
Yeah.
You would be dealing with the one oppression at that point.
Right. You're taking out the biggest mode and the biggest racist mode, so your racism is going to be inherently nerfed as compared to somebody who's like just an ardent capitalist, aka an ardent racist, or B, an ardent racist.
Like, let's be honest here. Who's really gonna want to be racist if there's no economic incentive behind it anymore?
Only the ardent ones, only the ones who are ideologically predisposed. That's a shorter group.
Very smart, very different story.
Yeah, way. And again, numerically speaking, easier to manage. One way or the other.
I
Okay.
swear, I'm gonna have to do something about these fucking black capitalists at some point because this is this is only gonna get worse. This is gonna get bad.
Well, there's an obvious contradiction to it, right? This is the group of people who put you in this situation to begin with, black folk. Why do you think you can do it? Not everybody's China. Remember, you don't have a nation state. You're still subordinate in the nation state that is a family of nation states that did this to black people. China had its own nation state. The Chinese just did. That's why they're able to pull the trick off. That's not an option. You can't guilt liberals into making all of you billionaires. You won't be able to do it. So every black capitalist who's like, oh yeah, if we guilt them enough, it'll work. Like, I'm sorry, it won't. That's
And then what end up happening is, even if it were to happen that way, they would end up in the lower position where all the real capitalists came in and swooped everything up 30, 40 years ago, and now you're upset because you don't have a pure capitalist state to be able to stake your claim in, and do your evil shit to try to hold your power.
yeah, you're just stuck picking at the carcass.
You're stuck in the same position we are.
Yep, you're still down here with us, friendo.
So it don't bode well for you anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, let's face it, you're not Jay-Z. Sorry, black capitalist, you're not Jay-Z. And Jay-Z is Jay-Z because he knows when to fucking let the white people do their shit, and he's gonna stay on his own little lane.
yeah, he knows when to get the hell out of their way. And notably, when you start working down the racism chain, they have him flagged too. So
Mhm.
it's not like he's really doing that great job of a hiding, frankly. Like it's
Mhm.
not as good at hide and seek as you thought. They see right through you. Ugh.
Yeah. After they're done with the transes and they come for the blacks, you think they're gonna leave Jay-Z?
That's why when like Ben Shapiro's like, oh, can you believe they're doing anti-Semitism? Me, I don't lift a fucking finger. You asked for it. You got all them people shot in New Zealand and Pittsburgh, my friend. You have this comment. Whenever they're mean to you, I don't think they're going far enough. Let them take all of it out on you.
Oh, it'd be a shame if they drawn and quartered him.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. You know, and let's be cold about it for a moment. Why would we waste capital on Ben Shapiro? We'd have actual people who are not pieces of shit to worry about. They may not be ideologically pure by our standards by any stretch of the imagination, but they're infinitely more decent than that. Your random, your random Jew or black dude, off the street, they're going to be way more sympathetic to us than they are those fucking assholes. And if they're that hyper sympathetic, they're like, why are you not defending them? This is your fault. Like, okay, man, you go with the team cuck. Go with it. Fucking
Tell you
eat
what, Benny,
shit.
we'll care. We'll tell you what, Benny, we'll care when you start giving us your millions.
Yeah. When you start doing something for the left, why should the left give a shit when you suffer anti-Semitism? And then he'll whine. Oh, can you believe the left doesn't give a shit when I'm the victim? Yeah. You got people shot. You got other Jews killed with your bullshit rhetoric.
Dave Rubin, I'm so surprised. I'm shocked. I am so shocked.
He's another one. Why would Jews or gays or the disabled care about your fucking pain? Why would we care? You cause us misery by existing, and you go out of your way to inflict more misery. So fuck them. Let them have problems. Who gives a shit? You know?
I'll lose no sleep.
Yeah, I'm not worried. Because here's the cold truth about it: those people invite misery on other people. But if that misery backfires and they're the ones suffering it, guess what? That means somebody decent ain't suffering for the minute. That in and of itself is good enough. Fuck those guys.
The Freddy versus Jason scenario.
Exactly. Freddy and Jason are fighting each other. That means there's some teenagers who are maybe alive that weren't supposed to be. That's a win.
You at least got one group of campers.
Yeah, maybe two live this time. Okay, so
But
we do got.
they also don't get that about fascists in general.
No, they
That like
don't.
we see it as like, they're like, let's listen to both sides. Let's try to save the fascists. No, no, there's no saving them. You really wanna help them, put them out of their misery.
I why should Here's the question that Ben can't answer. Ben functions as a capo for these freaks. Why in the fuck should we care if he gets the backlash from his buddies? I don't give a fuck. You shouldn't give a fuck. And if he whines that you don't give a fuck, that seems like a you problem, Ben. Man the fuck up and bootstrap it. Fight him.
Go
You
grab a
got
camera.
guns.
I'm gonna grab a
Yeah.
camera and be like, World Star.
Yeah, Joe Star, go fucking at him, buddy. Unlock your JoJo powers or whatever. I don't give a fuck what you do, asshole. Little bitch.
Little
If
Bill.
Frankly, if they're done kicking your ass, come over here. I'll kick your ass some. I don't give a fuck, dude. All right, so we do have a question from chat. Ben Pasikoff, do you think Biden can take Trump in the general election? No. Do you think there would
Mm-mm.
be a January 6th Mark II? Yeah. He tried to purge his government once. He will try to do it again because that's a play he can make. He's not suffering consequences from initiating a purge because, technically speaking, that's not illegal under American law.
Oh, and he's only gonna get bolder. It's not gonna be the same kind of coup thing. It's gonna be something much worse next time. That's the thing that they don't understand about these people. They fucking you can't let them run around like a bull in a china shop because all of a sudden you won't have any glass, any glassware in the entire place.
Yeah. I,
They'll just keep escalating.
how could this have happened? I left the bull unsupervised in the china shop and then I scared it. How could this happen to me? That's not. Hmm.
Then the bull finished in that one and broke against the wall into the next building and started tearing that place up.
Yeah, then he destroyed the daycare next door, and you're like, oh, isn't that terrible? Yeah, it is. That's kind of your fault. You
Someone
know?
should do something about this. Yeah, we could have did something when it was easier and it was just in one room. Now
Is
now you got
exactly, exactly. Give him an inch, right? So here's the proposition that we're supposed to accept. Okay, you are positing yourself as the adversary of this person, and this is a contest of popularity. So you ran somebody who is barely popular this time, and whose popularity is dwindling because he sucks. Yeah, I brought another bull. Will that help? We're also going to address the we're going to address the left to Fash pipeline because there is one. There's always a pipeline in every direction. You know,
from every position.
the pipeline does go both ways. There can be Fash to left and left to Fash. It's just it flows one way more than the other. We will talk about that before we end tonight because this it's a long one, but you know what? Fuck it, it's a good one. Um, the liberal proposition is essentially like in 2016, it was, can you believe Hillary was so fucking inept that she lost to Donald Trump, and that's your fault that she was a loser? Well, like the premise to that is that we didn't vote for her. And I'll spoil something. I did as a defensive play. Because when it came down to it, I am in a battleground state. Unfortunately, numerically speaking, I matter. You know, if you're in New York and voting for Donald Trump, you don't fucking matter. You can vote for whoever you want if you're not voting for the Democrat. It's just like in Florida. If you're not voting for the Republican, it doesn't matter who the fuck you vote for. You can vote for whoever the fuck you want. When it came down to it, the choices were Trump or Clinton. I, at the time, I made the defensive play. And in retrospect, I wish I hadn't because I'm still blamed for her loss anyway. Like, hey, dipshit, I threw the number towards your candidate. I'm not the person you should be mad at. But their proposition is we're incompetent and that's your fault, not ours. Well, if you start with the fundamental phrase, I'm incompetent and that's your fault, right? If that's your fundamental premise, why in the fuck are we wasting time with you? You're capitalists. We also understand capitalism. You've asked us to run a cost benefit analysis, and it does not come up in your favor because you start with the sentence, I'm incompetent. So if you can't do the job, you're going to have to go. And, like, if you don't believe me, Buttigieg spelled that out when he was like, I hardly think the job of the Secretary of Transportation is to regulate transportation industries. What do you think the job entails, my friend? Did you not do the most basic civics homework?
Nope.
This, this isn't like Rick fucking Scott forgetting that the DEP handles nukes, which is forgivable, right? Because that's kind of a weird thing, but when you do that next step of thinking, oh yeah, nuclear energy, duh, right? That one, if you're already dumb, okay, you might forget that. You might need gently reminded like he did, and then he was like, oh shit, well, we can't get rid of that, you know. But if you're Buttigieg, you expect everybody else to be more incompetent than you and forget what the fucking Secretary of Transportation's job is, which is transportation regulation. Again, I'm incompetent and that's your problem, not mine. That's an insufficient answer. We're in crisis mode perpetually. So Biden deciding on somebody like him, like if I were the Republicans, I would absolutely use that against him. I would not, and to be fair if I were Biden at this point, I'd be like, you can't talk to anybody in public. You can't. You're bad at it. You don't get to do that anymore because it's literally going to help our case. Same thing with Kamala. Did I not, by the way, did I not call that she would be in the fucking White House? I had her pegged for president, but did I not call she would be in the White House? That part I got right.
Yeah, you did. You did
Yeah.
call it.
You were so incompetent you couldn't make it to a fucking election and you got rewarded for it. How is it our fault? We were literally not allowed to stop you from being in the White House. And she's done the job we expected her to do, which was fail. We expected you to fail and you did. But that's the Democrats' hallmark is failure from the jaws of victory, and unfortunately, right now it's going to be failure from the jaws of failure. It's going to be bad. 2024 is going to be bad.
It already is.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not even here yet.
yeah. And there's no like if you're in a state that like this is one of those things. If you know how your state's voted over the past 4 elections, it's going to vote that same way again, more or less, unless it's a battleground. Like PA, unfortunately, is purple, right? We skew Democrat, but it's not guaranteed. Unfortunately, the way that math works out is my vote matters, and if you're in a blue or a red state, your vote doesn't, right? Because we all know how we're voting. You know how those elections are going to go. Your vote doesn't matter. That's just the raw math of it. So you do what you want. I'm stuck. I don't get a choice. Because of course you can't let Crumbo McBarsack or fucking the Cheeto Man back in. You can't let that happen if your vote matters, which means you actually have less choice than the people whose votes don't matter. You're stuck. You either I actually have a decision to make, and it's terrible. I hate it. Yeah. Um. All right, we'll go. You want to go for a little bit longer?
Yeah, we can keep going. I mean, otherwise we'd just be in post show chat.
Yeah.
Makes no difference if we're being recorded. It just means I can say less N words.
Thank you. It does. One
And
of
I
those
know
things.
how uncomfortable the N word makes Dan.
Look, at this point, it boils down to whether or not we have a platform. You can say it. I'm not going to Finkelstein it and shoot from the hip, but I don't. I only worry about it being flying off on air because they will bust on a black guy for saying it, which is like that's
Fuck
suspect.
you.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
That's some
Um,
bullshit.
it is some bullshit.
It's our fucking word.
Yeah. So as far as that pipeline goes, what you'll find is there is money. Okay, so this will shock you, right? It starts with money. There is money being thrown at the what they call the MAGA communists or patriotic socialist or pat socks or red fash or brown shirts, whatever the hell you want to call them. It doesn't really matter. They are national socialists, right? We know what that term is, so we don't have to. Oh, you mean, yeah, we mean that. That's what it is. They are trying to revitalize that term as a political project to do one of two things. The one is the obvious. The other, potentially, for the true believer in the Red Fash Alliance or the Red Fash Pipeline, right? The true believer in it would have to be something like on the culture war, we need to shift right because culturally the country is right wing, but in as much it needs to be worker centric bigotry. And it needs to be worker
No.
centric economics paired with that.
That's really what they believe. Ugh.
If they're a true believer. I don't believe there are any, like, this is the thing though. This is
Yeah.
kind of an I'm gonna give a no true Scotsman, right? I don't believe there's a such thing as a true believer because those two things are irreconcilable because of course black people work, right?
Hmm. In fact, they're the majority.
Yeah,
Of the people being forced to work.
but they certainly are the majority of being into forced labor. That's always been true. So there's no way for that not to be inherently just fucking bigoted and alienating and appeal to primarily they're trying to appeal to working class whites and say, hey, you know what, you should be running the joint, which is going to appeal to a disproportionate number of leftists who don't feel comfortable with the cultural issues. It just is. And instead of like a Norman Finkelstein leftist who will like sit and hem and haw and be kind of shitty on the trans issue, but then whenever the opportunity comes up to be like, yeah, trans people should just be alive, right? And he'll be like, well, of course. And this is ridiculous. This because I don't, just because I can't fathom it doesn't mean squat. Doesn't make sense to me, but that doesn't matter, right?
Hmm.
These are people who are like, no, we need to come down hard on the side of the fascists on those issues as an appeal.
What?
Uh huh. So in practice, what you get is some worker rhetoric that has to be toothless by default because you're taking money from billionaires. So it by default has to be entirely toothless and with very real racist tendencies. And what left wingers fall into is essentially that because they have money, it has to be the way to go. That's why people like Haas, that's why people like Hinkle, etc. Because it has the veneer of bigotry. But work through it for a moment. What dedicated leftist is perfectly comfortable 100% with being a loud and proud Italian or German style racist? That number has to be incredibly low by default, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like there's a lot of natural support. Likewise, what loud and proud racist is calling for the unification of the working class to overthrow capitalism, the engine of racism? How many do you think that is? Probably not too many when you boil it down, right?
Yeah. Not as
Good.
many as you think.
Yeah, it's not that they don't exist. It's just it's very incoherent, and incoherencies don't tend to garner big natural support. So as you start working through this shit, what you start figuring out is there actually aren't all that many of them because it's an untenable position. And generally speaking, you're going to shift towards favoring capitalism because capitalism is the predominant ideology and capitalism is the fundamental core of racism. So what they're doing is they're inviting people in to dabble in these racist ideas while feeling like they're still part of a functioning left movement, not behaving like one, but the veneer thereof. And then eventually you sweep into the more juicy content that starts playing around with the ideas you get from the culture war. And that is most likely what happened to your buddy, chat. That's most likely what happened.
Oh, my condolences.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking. Real, being real there.
And what it speaks to is that the left, as it's currently constructed, is far too liberal in nature, a charge we have made. It's not like we don't make the exact same charge and that we don't have strong enough fighters, i.e., bastards. We don't have bastards. Say what you want about Stalin. Stalin was a bastard. That's undeniable. But that bastard status gives you something to solidify around. If you're just coming out of an era, a prolonged era of great man theory bullshit, then it helps to have a bastard. And somebody like Stalin functions very well in that role. That's why Stalin was popular. We don't have that anymore. Take a Mao, right? Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh, excellent bastard. Hell, FDR. FDR was a fucking bastard once upon a time. And he was
Yeah,
just a
I
he was
mean those reforms he put out there, they really didn't like that shit. He was
no,
like, hey, I'm trying to save capitalism.
yeah, but he was a bastard about it, and he
Hmm.
was willing to cut a better deal for white workers. He has his flaws and he has his boons. He gives us a model we can replicate and just strip the racism out of.
Yeah.
He gives us some kind of a model to start with, which is better than any other American president. Outside of Lincoln, Lincoln gave us a good model of how to deal with fascists. Replicated
Hmm.
the world over to great success. But that's the point, right? The point is that the left doesn't have any bastards, and these people are bastards. They're not bastards to billionaires. They're very willing to hold hands with billionaires. We went through that whole episode ripping apart their platform. What's based, what isn't, what's the final verdict. And
Battle of the Bastards.
yeah, okay. He began after J6, or he began before January 6th. Now he's anti-drag. Big Dud hates Ukraine, loves Russia. Yeah, that situation sucks because I don't
Yeah.
care for either. I understand the Russian mentality very well. Doesn't make it right. Just because I understand it doesn't mean like, oh yeah, I condone it. But I don't have the slow liberal opinion of Russia
I mean,
unilaterally
he
bad.
fell for the trap. He got encircled, and they provoked him, and he fucking fell for it.
It's not so much. He definitely took their bait because of the encirclement. He definitely did. But you remember how we were talking at the very beginning of the show or right before the show about Stalin?
Hmm.
One of the great criticisms of Stalin leveled by the Soviets was Stalin was lazy. Stalin didn't act right when it came to the Nazis. He they indicated that he did not go far enough. And Putin was like, I'm not going to fuck up and let that happen to me again. I'm not going to wait to act. I'm just going to go for it. That does not in any way condone what he did, but these stories of Putin as a madman crapping himself, well, that kind of doesn't explain the situation properly.
No, it doesn't explain anything really. It's
Did
just
you
that
watch the
good old
Chapo
fashioned
Finkelstein Burgess
propaganda.
interview? I didn't watch the. So Burgess and Chapo did a Finkelstein interview. I saw the Chapo one.
I saw the
Um,
Burgess one.
how was the Burgess one? Chat saying it came off like a big lib.
It's bad. I don't really.
Who came off like a big lib is all I'm. Burgess. They're saying Burgess came off like a big lib. Burgess is a lot more sympathetic towards liberalism.
I don't think he's not. Like he knows. Like it's we're getting into this era where like these people like they know theory and they're revolutionary-ish, but
Yeah.
like when you really push them, they really just admit that they don't actually believe in revolution
No, they would argue that that era is over. Which, to be fair, for right now, that era is over. I mean, that's just
until it's not.
yeah, until it's not. But like, to be like the revolution's coming every minute now. Like, I don't know about that, pal.
Right.
Like my eyes work too. That was one of the jokes on Twitter today. It's like the problem with the left comms is not so much that they suck or they're wrong or their opinions are bad. It's like they all seem to live like weirdly future and anachronistically, right? We're from a future where the revolution is imminent, and that ain't where we're at, and that's true. Burgess was lame. I haven't watched that interview. I will. I like Finkelstein. Finkelstein, like we were joking about that earlier too. Finkelstein is like a buyer beware, a caveat emptor scenario, right? It's like You don't know what Norm's coming to the show today. You don't know what's coming out of that mouth if you let him. Although you can tell he's getting a little bit older now because he's slowing down a little bit and repeating himself a lot. A lot of the same stories in these interviews. It's like he's got a playbook. Although I'm wondering if we can get him on Sons of Trier for $1,000. Because like that's a project I would be willing to actually ask for money to get Norm Finkelstein on. Not so much so we can get paid, but I'm pretty sure if we offered him $1,000, he would talk to us. He doesn't seem to turn shit down. I don't think he can afford to. He was basically saying Russia had no reason to invade Ukraine. Finkelstein was saying, well, here's the reason, Putin, etc. Burgess was just rejecting it. His new book, talk about the book. He's doing a book tour. Yeah, I haven't read the book. I imagine there's some shit in there I'm going to like and some shit I'm going to be bored with. But yeah, that's yeah, the Russian and Ukraine situation, like I don't agree with John Mearsheimer's conclusions, but he has the most coherent explanation of why that's happened. It's probably right. And spoiler alert, we were a big part of that. So when we're like blanket, like, oh, we gotta, fucking save Ukraine or whatever, it's like, well, I agree that we have to end hostilities in Ukraine, but I don't know how much we should interject ourselves more since we're an exact. Is the solution to rabies more rabies? No, I mean he'd do it for free, free press. Yeah, I feel like the guy needs the cash though.
The solution to cancer, more cancer.
Is the solution to cancer more cancer? So I don't know if us providing force is the solution because we could simply I don't know about at this point, right? At the beginning certainly we could have said, "Listen, we'll back down. Don't do anything, all right? We get it. You're not pissing around." We could have done that. We opted not to do that. And there's a whole lot of dead Ukrainians along the way. It feels like the fight ends up being a lot of like a reflection of like the liberal conservative dynamic in America, where liberals and conservatives spend a lot of time fighting over black people, and a lot of black people end up dead over it, but they're not part of it in like a conversational. They're a conversation piece, not having the conversation or
Yeah,
surviving.
they're the yeah. They're the subject of the conversation, but they don't actually have a dog in that race.
Yeah, they don't get to have a dog in the race of their own survival in this situation, which is like that's a problem because the two powers that can negotiate the peace are not. Um, China's not doing it because China wants to see what the armed response is going to be. So they want to, what China's doing is what Czechoslovakia did when Hungary was getting invaded by tanks. They're watching to see how far you can go before it becomes a problem. Like, what's the line? What can we do to what can we do that nobody's going to react to but with words? So they're watching Russia, and they're watching that situation intently because that's valuable information. What can the West do? What will the West do? What will our hostile enemy actually do if we take certain set of actions? And right now the calculus is, well, they'll send in guns, but they're not going to do anything about it, which I don't think is a deterrent. I don't think that's the deterrent they think it is. So it becomes a game of we either maintain the situation and forever war in Ukraine, which is useless. We either attack Russia and risk a nuclear scenario, or we let them conquer it, which feels unsatisfactory because that's a whole lot of Ukrainian deaths over nothing. You can try to use Ukraine to fight a proxy war, but I don't think Ukraine's army is sizable enough to do enough damage to Russia to make it matter. And what are you going to do? Arm them with dirty bomb nukes? They're just going to drop a nuke. Like if they're getting attacked with nuclear terrorism, they're going to resort to nuclear terrorism because that's now on the table. That's also unsatisfactory. I'm assuming Burgess just outright rejected the Putin had a calculation too argument, which like you can reject that, but like to just like what's the other alternative? If the alternative is either he's power mad, which no shit, he's power mad. He runs a country. You have to be power mad to run a country. That alone is an insufficient explanation. Or it has to be the insanity argument, right? The insanity argument doesn't make any fucking sense. He's frankly he's more coherent. He's more coherent than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the closest you could say like there's an insanity argument going on.
He's more coherent than I'd say 90% of our politicians.
Yeah, it doesn't. And again, that's not a cosign. Like the way they take that is if you start going into this, like they take it as co-signing the bullshit, which that's not helpful because we can't influence him but through military force by proxy. We can influence our own political situation to some extent, not much, but to some extent. So that's the situation we have to look at it as, and we have to have a better response than that guy's nuts or just he's unilaterally wrong. Okay, he's wrong. Fine, we got there. Right? So we do nothing. We just we let the bourgeoisie wage war all over the world. That's what we've been doing. How's that working out for everybody? I can't hear you through the wall of dead bodies that has caused.
Right.
But that also gets back to my socialism should organize a bake sale fucking argument because like just unilaterally accepting the liberal premises, like okay, that's worth nothing at all and doesn't help. Helps nothing. So I don't know. That's kind of depressing. I have to go on Patreon, then I'll have to listen to that. Hmm. All right, chat. It's almost 1 a.m. We're giving you a juicy slice of content since Jenk's not here and he doesn't have a bedtime that we have to care about tonight. I'm Dan Cohen.
And I'm Michael Jordan Peterson.
All right, we love you. Don't die. It's been fun.